very much, Ceann. I'm glad to get the opportunity to talk on this very important budget here this evening. And I suppose while I welcome money that has been pledged to the health services, 4 billion, one only wonders how will it be spent, where will it be spent, and most importantly, will we get the beds that they're saying we will? And I wanted to start with Killarney, and instead of getting more beds in our community hospital in Killarney or in St. Columban's home, we're being told that they're going to cut down the beds. So we'll see very shortly who's right and who's wrong, but I certainly hope that we don't get the reductions that have been promised us. In relation to the carbon tax, this is a savage attack on working people. Well, whether it is people going to work in the morning, wherever they're working, most people are driving and out to work, and more tax on their cars, more cost to their litres of diesel and petrol, more cost to their motor tax, and it applies right across the board to the hauliers who are moving everything. And when the cost goes up on them, and it'll have to, because there's 2.5 cents a litre promised on diesel, and there's other taxes as well. They are going to have to, in order to survive, they're going to have to transfer the cost to the people they're moving the goods for. And that's the honest truth about it. It's very, very unfair. It's very unfair to be hitting the same people all the time. Most of the people that are on the road, they're paying already 50% income tax. And to tax what are you trying to do? Are you trying to tax the working people out of it altogether? The people that are employing people and paying people to work for them. And to ensure, and to see, no one could do more harm to the motor industry than Eamon Ryan. And he's a fine man personally, but his policies are totally, absolutely ridiculous. Go back to 2006 or 7, he advised people to get diesel cars. Then come along a few years ago, he told us to get hybrid vehicles, SUVs. And now we're being told that any relief that was to be had by having a hybrid SUV is going to be removed. And that's wrong, Ceann, because take a family with 3 children. In order to comply with safety regulations and to be able to meet the guards on the road when you're checked, you must have special seats for the 3 children. And they won't fit into an ordinary saloon. You have to get a 7-seater to make it work. And so that the family can go out for a Sunday evening or go to school or wherever it is safely, and that they won't be stopped by the Gardaí and brought to account. And when we're talking about the Gardaí, and I'm not blaming them, but it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on out on the motorway, blocking traffic, people trying to go home from work. And to the Minister for Justice and to the government is responsible, not the guards. It's absolutely ridiculous to be stopping people and holding them up and keeping them waiting for an hour and a half out in the motorway, and they're having families and children to attend to. It's very, very wrong. I welcome money that's been promised to Irish Water, and I have to say here that my company, I have a small company, at times does work for Irish Water. But 44 million is only a tip in the ocean, and it's not enough because we have places like Kilcummin, Kinmare, Brosna, Scotland, Corra, Caherdanil without a treatment plant. Castle Island has been waiting for 36 years for an extension to the sewerage scheme. And we have people here inside talking about the environment and worried about the environment. They don't want to talk about the sewerage systems at all. They tell us that we can build out the country, that we must build in towns and villages, and yet there's no treatment plant in many of the villages and towns they're talking about. And there's massive work needed and money to be spent in them, but Irish Water don't have the funds to do that. Just a second, Count Corley. There was no mention of the pensions, the old age pension. Pensioners got nothing after they've been locked down all the year, and they're having to pay people to bring their messages to them, and they're still locked down. They're still advised to stay at home. What about the women's pensions that was promised to get the rightful amount that was due to them back a number of years ago? The CE supervisors, no mention about what's rightfully owed to them or giving anything back to them. We had Deputy Nocton talking about broadband. Yes, there was no mention about broadband, and our county is seriously disadvantaged for the lack of broadband in many parts of it, and indeed serious lack of infrastructure for mobile phones. It's hardly working there at all now, because when the load increased, the service went down, and that's what's happening in rural Kerry and even urban Kerry. And on top of that, landline service, or to get them put in, is a total impossibility. You have a woman living on her own, miles away from everyone, and she can't get the panic button fitted to her house because she doesn't have a landline. No one interested in doing that. Then the farmers are going to pay through the nose with the carbon tax. Everything a farmer does is diesel or petrol or fuel of one kind or another, whether it is a tractor, whether it is a jeep, or whatever it is. A farmer can move without putting diesel in the tank, and there's no problem in the world here for this government to hit these people and make them pay more, make them pay through the nose. There's no word about the ferry to France. There's no word of paying or putting any money towards proper infrastructure to get our cattle out come the 1st of January. There's no interest or no cognizance given at all to that request, even though myself and other deputies raised it several times.